Alright, so a little while back I had unboxed an MSI card and was just thoroughly displeased with the construction of the card and some of the other things that I was seeing in it design-wise. And insult to injury on top of that, apparently Amazon has that card stocked with pictures of a different card. So I should have gotten what I would have assumed to be, the de facto layout on these 1650s, which is one DVI, one DisplayPort, one HDMI, and I actually just got HDMI and DVI. And as far as I can tell, there's not a dramatic price difference between those two, so I don't know why they don't just, cut the marketing costs and only produce cards in that 3-port configuration. I can't see a real reason for that segmentation. But after a couple attempts back and forth with Amazon, I just can't get the card that I had intended to order. Fortunately for me, I mentioned I would have rather had a ZOTAC. Well, the ZOTAC card ended up being in stock once I got all of my back and forth resolved. As far as I know, these cards are actually different. This is specifically a GDDR6 variant, which trades a little bit on the core clock side for higher performing memory. So I do expect to see difference, and we'll measure it, and there's a price difference between the cards, and we'll take a look at that when we do our full-blown gaming review. So with that out of the way, we've got our ZOTAC Gaming GTX 1650 Low Profile. Looks like we've got an extended warranty if we register. And does it say specifically what that is on the box? It does not, but I'll go ahead and look at that as well. So just pop this open. All right, so ZOTAC is still including. No, is not still including. So I expected a CD based on this packaging. Looks like they're still using the packaging one would have expected for CDs. Looks like we get a couple of extra goodies. So I've got a ZOTAC Gaming sticker, some marketing for their PCs that ZOTAC offers as a first party. I've actually worked with some of their smaller mini PCs. They're generally fairly well built. We've got a quick installation guide here, which is going to be one of these fold-out devices, although this is definitely a generic quick install guide since we still call out VGA and DVI to VGA, which I know this does not include. Got to register it within 28 days for the extended warranty. Still no statement on what the actual extended warranty duration is in here, at least on that side. And then we've just got the same stuff in a couple of additional languages. And presumably this replaced what would have been a CD and other variants of this packaging that says, just go install the latest drivers at GeForce.com, which is what I would suggest doing anyway. So I've got my low profile bracket. Got an anti-static bubble wrap bag, which is a nice touch as opposed to just a regular anti-static. And then the card itself, which I might bust out a scale. The card feels slightly heavier than its counterpart. So we got a nice plastic peel. I know everyone enjoys those. A couple of branded fans. Overall, looks like fairly basic construction. I do notice that I've got additional screws holding the heatsink down. We've got 4 screws directly over the CPU, and then, or sorry, 4 screws over the GPU itself, and then an additional 4 outside. I have through-hole screws here into the bracket, which is what I wanted to see on that MSI card that I didn't. No auxiliary power connector. Looks like we've got a aluminum block, just a single aluminum block here for cooling. The one thing I don't like, and honestly I've yet to see a 1650 with this type, is I generally prefer blower fans on my graphics cards. Those get the hot air out of the case. They've got their disadvantages, and that's part of why the current generation Founders cards aren't blower coolers anymore. But from a system stability standpoint, since they're always exhausting the air out of the case, I generally prefer them, especially in systems where stability takes precedence over absolute raw performance. And that's part of why you'll see the Quadro, NVIDIA's professional line, all generally use blower coolers. So typically for me, especially since I tend to have things that are in all the slots that diminish the value of these dual fans, I like that cooler type better, but I'm not going to count that against ZOTAC here since none of the 1650s that I've seen have that. I'm a little bummed to see that they're just 2-pin DC fans, so that's a little bit of a downside on what kind of temperature control we're going to get, or sorry, what kind of fan speed control we're going to get. Otherwise, pretty standard fare. Looks like we've got 1 DVI, no analog in these anymore. These are just straight up DVI without the analog pins. 1 HDMI and 1 DisplayPort. That does mean that you're going to have to get an active adapter if you're still using VGA. That said, if you're still using VGA in the era of these Turing cards, I don't really know why you haven't bought a new monitor and you spent this much money on a card. I'm going to be evaluating this card in that gaming system with the ZOTAC panel that we unboxed a couple of weeks ago. So, but this is, I'd consider this a healthy configuration for display output. I would like to see multiple display ports, but for the market that the 1650 serves, that's not really going to be a common request. And we've got our low profile bracket, which is what I intend to use, since this will just slot right into that M82, no problem. I don't see any heat pipes or any sign of a vapor chamber in this. I think it may just be a solid block of aluminum. Especially with these GDDR6 models where the core clocks have been brought down a little bit compared to their GDDR5 siblings. I'm not super upset about that. The solid aluminum should be fine. This is only rated for 75 watts, and you know, we're cooling our 3770 with just a big aluminum block as well. I do appreciate that the packaging here, this is not styrofoam, this is that biodegradable cardboard. So from an environmental standpoint, ZOTAC's done fairly well on the packaging. We've got this anti-static bubble wrap, which is unfortunately just a given. I would have been perfectly happy if this didn't have plastic on it. So just a quick analysis on that. The rest of it's just cardboard and paper. So really the big gotchas are this bubble wrap bag and this. That said, you know, we'll have a proper review soon, but just looking at the card, I'm happy with what I ordered this time, unlike the MSI card where I was just outright disgusted. So I think that covers everything. Next time you see this thing, it'll either be in or going into a system in quick order. Thank you for watching. I want to do a shout out for our patrons who help make some of our content possible. I want to thank Alextrix, who provided music for our opening and closing credits. Definitely go check out his channel and subscribe if you like some of the music that he's done. And outside of that, just thank you for watching. And if you've got any questions, if there's any tests you want to see run on this card, let me know in the comments below, and we'll make that happen to the best of our ability.